Hello once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends on BBS Radio, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call us today, 941-877-1552, or email us at publicityworksagency.com. And remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Dave Pegg joined Fairport Convention in 1969. As a teenager, Dave became involved in Birmingham's vibrant 60s rock scene. He soon found himself playing guitar most evenings with one or other of the city's young bands. Later, Dave auditioned as a lead guitarist with the Uglies, but was persuaded to swap to bass guitar and has played the instrument ever since. After a spell with the Uglies, Dave joined the Ian Campbell Folk Group on double bass and met fiddle maestro Dave Swarbrick, by whom he was introduced to Fairport Convention. He joined them and has been in the band ever since. In 1980, he joined Jethro Tull as bass player and spent 15 years with the band. As if playing in two bands was not enough, he set up Woodworm Records to produce and market Fairport's albums. He also recorded a solo album. Dave has also co-organized Fairport's Cropridi festivals since the early 1980s. From small beginnings, it has grown into a major event that attracts 20,000 fans each August. As well as recording and touring with Fairport Convention and Jethro Tull, Dave is much in demand as a session player and has contributed bass to innumerable recordings. He is also an accomplished mandolin player. Please welcome legendary bassist with Jethro Tull and Fairport Convention, Dave Pegg, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Dave.
How are you, Ray? And that's a big build-up. I hope I can live up to it.
Well, I could have gone a lot longer. I had to shorten it down. Did I say that right? Is it Cropridi Festival? How do you say that?
Well, we say Cropridi, but there are many pronunciations depending on where people come from. People come from all over the world to our festival now, so it's the worst in pronunciation of Cropridi is Crapridi.
Oh, jeez, that's horrible.
Crapridi, which is, if you're a local Oxfordshire person, it's in Oxfordshire, and the locals talk like that. They'd say, we're going to Crapridi.
Oh, gosh. That's horrible.
But most of the people call our festival their Fairport because we've been doing it for 40 years in the village, and it's all the locals really look forward to it. It's a very family-orientated festival, and it's a highlight of the year, both for us, the band, and for the villagers. And everybody gets behind it, and they all try and raise money for various local good village causes. The village has a population of 600.
Right.
And when we're there, it swells to 20,000. So the two pubs, they take more money that weekend than they do the rest of the year. They're desperate for the festival to keep going. And luckily, our tickets have gone on sale today, and we've already sold 2,000 tickets today, which beats our first sales day last year. So we're hoping it's going to be another good one.
Well, this festival is definitely worthwhile to travel from the U.S. because, it's Thursday, August 13th, the 14th, the 15th through Saturday. You've got, the first day you have the Trevor Horn Band. Yeah, it's incredible. You got my buddy Steve Hackett, who's been on the show several times.
He's fabulous. We're so pleased he's back. He was with us about 3 years ago, and it's just such a great band. We're really pleased Steve can join us again.
Oh, he's awesome, and he's got the Genesis Revisited, tour going on, and he'll be doing that at the fest. Of course, you got the Slambovian Circus of Dreams, which are pretty, quite out there and very famous as well. They tour the world.
Well, we've never seen them, but they've been really keen to play at Cropridi for years, but because they're in the States, they don't tour as much as they probably should in the UK. So we're really good, and we've had a really good, reaction to putting their name on the bill. So that's good.
Well, I'm really happy about Saturday because you got Rosalie Cunningham, who I've had on the show recently. I really love her work.
Oh, well.
She's incredible. I really enjoyed talking with her. And she's got a great band there. She really does.
Excellent, yeah.
So it's going to be a great. It seems like it gets stronger every year, really.
Well, we've had some interesting. People think of Fairport Convention as kind of folkies, but we're not really. We're kind of folk rock.
Right.
We call it, right?
Right.
And it's because there's only one stage at Cropredy. It's always a really eclectic lineup, and we try and put some music on that appeals to like a lot of people, not just folkies. We like to please the kind of people. I mean, we've had incredible acts like Alice Cooper. Alice came and played the last date of his European tour about 3 years ago, and said it was the best audience he'd played to in Europe. So he was really pleased, and he managed to get some golf as well, I think.
Oh, did you? Did you play with Alice?
Well, I can't play. I'm hopeless at golf. I wouldn't dream of it. But I know he had a couple of days off and explored Oxfordshire's golf courses. Of course, Alice also figures in Jethro Tull mythology because he collected the Grammy Award that we presented with. But when none of the band attended because we thought we hadn't got a hope in hell winning the Grammy Award, but Alice was there and he collected it for us for Crest of a Knave. So that was good, and he was fantastic at Cropredy. And we have unusual acts as well. We have lots of folky acts as well, but another recent unusual act for Cropredy was Petula Clark, who at 83 made her first outdoor appearance at the festival 2 years ago, and was just fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
I love Petula.
Cropredy is very much, the village is so nice as well, and both pubs have fringe events on where if you don't like what's going on our main field, main stage, you wander into the village, go to the pubs where all the pub events are free, and you catch usually some really good young bands or bands that people aren't familiar with.
Well, it's a great event. I wish I could go, make a special trip out there just to see it. If I don't make it this year, maybe next year. But
well, we do get quite a lot of visitors from the USA coming over, from West Coast and East Coast and all over the place.
Yeah.
There's always probably a couple of hundred USA visitors, and occasionally Richard Thompson's wife Nancy Covey brings over her festival tour, usually when it's an anniversary year for us, when Richard plays with us, although Richard's playing with us next year as well, and we're celebrating 50 years of the Fairport Full House album, which is the first one that I played on, and so I'm celebrating 50 years of being in the band as well. I've got the least hair in the band because I'm the longest serving member, and because of the low frequencies of the bass guitar, it's shaken my follicles out, Ray. And so I look the oldest in the band, but because I've been there for 50 years, I'm expecting them to buy me a gold watch or something special.
Oh yeah, at least.
I keep hinting, but so far I've had no offers.
How about a gold bass? Gold bass. It's even better.
It'd have to be painted gold. If it was real gold, my back's so bad I'd never be able to play it. And I wouldn't. I'd just leave the country and flog it, and retire. No, I could never retire because Fairport have got so many creditors that we could never retire. We have to keep the ball rolling, as it were.
Well, I always say, when I mention, bands like Fairport, Steel Eye Span, the Straubs, I think prog. I know it's folky, but I still say to me it's all prog. Because I love prog. That's my favorite genre.
Yeah. Well, so do I. I mean, I'm a great fan of prog bands that people like, Steve and Genesis and Yes were incredible, and Jethro Tull. I was a fan of Jethro Tull before I joined them. Really, prog music's it's so well played. The standard of musicianship and the quality of it, you've got to be really good to play in a good prog band.
Right.
We're a bit proggy with Fairport. We come up with stuff that's kind of out of our safety zone from time to time. On the new album, we've got an incredible instrumental album, a label in America to release our stuff anymore. So most of our stuff is, got from Amazon or downloaded or, from our mail order company in England. It's just because we don't tour America. It's been, I don't know how long, it's been 8 or 9 years at least since we were over there. And it's because we've never been, we love American audiences. We've had great receptions everywhere we've been in the States, but we're not big enough to kind of avoid having to work every night and schlep up and down the I-95 and set all our own gear up and, do kind of little clubs. And we're of an age now, so we all have van ass, it hurts to to sit in the van for 6 hours every day and then have to set up your own gear and stuff. And that's the only reason we don't come. But our environment at Cropredy for any American listeners into Fairport is much nicer than most of the places that we would play in the States. So come and see us on our own turf while we're still above it.
Well, plus you got a pretty lengthy tour coming up, the Fairport Wind Tour 2020, which starts in January.
Well, we do this every year. We used to do 250 gigs a year, but as I say, we've cut down now. We do our winter tour, which is about 25 dates, I think, and that's kind of the electric lineup. We take our own crew out, and it's more of a production, and we'll be playing stuff from this new album, Shuffle and Go.
Right.
But then in May and June, we do what's called the Spring Acoustic Tour, and it's the same lineup, but it's more of an acoustic, different material. Jerry Conway plays. Our drummer doesn't bring the full drum kit out. He brings a cajon and various percussion instruments, and we do smaller venues. Our smallest venue this year is a boat, which is taking us down the River Rhine.
Oh, cool!
From June the 20th, and it's called Who Knows Where the Rhine Goes. And it's 150 people. It's sold out. I mean, we're the band for 5 nights. We entertain the 150 people. 5 couples of whom are coming over from the States to be on the boat trip. It's going to be incredible. We have 5 nights where we play our own stuff, and then a couple of nights where we're going to be the Beatles. We're going to be a backing band, and people who've bought tickets on the cruise can get up and do their Beatles karaoke, but with the Fairport as a backing band.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to be George. I've got my Telecaster out, and I'm learning all George's guitar riffs.
How cool is that?
So that I can pretend to be George Harrison.
You're going to be the quiet one.
And Rick Sanders is going to be Paulie. He's going to be Paul, and he's going to play my ukulele bass. And he's learned all the parts already.
Right.
So that's going to be so much fun.
That's a lot
and
of fun.
We're also, Rick Sanders is going to do his stand-up comedy. And Chris Leslie's going to do his magic act. He's
really?
a bit of a card sharp. So this is something we're really looking forward to in April. And then the following April, it's the same tour, it's the same people organising that tour. They're doing the Danube cruise, which is a week on the boat down the Danube, visiting some wonderful sites in Germany and obviously Budapest and stuff. And a week before that, Richard Thompson's doing that boat cruise. So I figure there's going to be a lot of Americans come over for that, because it's just such a great way to spend a holiday.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, well, it is. It's different,
Yeah.
It's different. The Fairport's always been kind of a fun band. We've never taken ourselves too seriously.
Right.
And there's always an element of fun and bravado in kind of some of the music that we play. It's we've been going for like 50 years now, so longer than 50 years. Next year I celebrate being 50 years in the band. I did my first gig with them on the 29th of January, 50 years ago, from next 29th of January, and that just happens to be the opening night of our tour.
Well, you got 50 years under your belt in 2020, plus the 41st anniversary of the festival in 2020. That's a long time.
That's right, yeah.
41 years. Wow. That's awesome, man. You know, it's you know, I don't think Taylor Swift can last that long. I really don't.
I hope James Taylor does. We've recorded the James Taylor song on the new album.
Really?
The song from his last album, The Jolly Springtime, which is, if you listen to that, it could have been written for the Fairport. It's just, we did it literally in 2 or 3 takes without rehearsing it. It's one of those lovely sing-along, folky type songs that James sometimes comes up with.
Right.
We're big fans of James Taylor. We recorded the Frozen Man song some years ago, and James knew Sandy Denny. When James started coming over to London, he would stay in London and play at the Troubadour and stuff like that. And he became friends with Sandy Denny, you know, who wrote that fantastic song, Who Knows Where the Time Goes, and was the singer with Fairport on 2 occasions.
You did a few things with Sandy, right, on her solo albums, is that right?
Yeah, I played on a few of Sandy's albums, and she guested on some of ours as well. The Fairports were all like that, you know, we'd all play on each other's albums. We play on Richard Thompson's albums, and he would guest on our albums as well. Richard's joining us at Cropredy this year to play the Full House album in its entirety, along with Dave Mattox, who's coming over from. Dave lives near Boston now, and has been in the States for about 10 or, well, maybe 15 years now. So we've still got connections with America, but despite the fact that we don't come over.
What was Sandy like?
Well, an incredible performer. I mean, just, you know, I don't need to tell you how great her songs were.
Right.
And she was fantastic live. She was never that confident, you know. She never thought she was any good, you know. She always thought Joni was better, or you know, all the American singers, you know, Janis, but Sandy could belt out rock and roll. She was, you know, she could sing anything really, but she was never that confident of herself. And the fact that, despite winning the kind of Melody Maker, which was a British musical journal, highly respected newspaper that came out every week, and 2 years running she was voted top female singer in the UK, it didn't kind of transfer into album sales or fame. You know, she never achieved what she should have done, and in my opinion, and probably in hers as well, she thought she should have been a bit more successful than she was, which was an awful shame, you know. But it happens to some people. People like Nick Drake, who was a wonderful songwriter and musician and great, you know. After Nick passed away, he became incredibly famous all over the world, and people know more about Nick Drake than they do about Sandy Denny, but they're both from the same school, if you like, in terms of their age and what they contributed to writing great songs. But Nick was kind of, people picked up on him after he passed away, but they didn't so much on Sandy, which I find sad.
Yeah, but you know, among music enthusiasts, Sandy's kind of a legend to us, because we know all about her talents, you know.
I know. And she, for example, you know, she did the Zeppelin song, The Battle of Evermore. She's the only girl singer ever to sing with Led Zeppelin, and that was a great achievement. And in fact, Robert Plant, who sometimes comes and joins us at Cropredy, and one great thing that happened was when we did an anniversary of Sandy's death, and we had about half a dozen different girl singers singing songs of Sandy's, and Robert said, I'll do the Battle of Evermore. Do you know anybody who can do the Sandy? And we said, well, nobody really, but there is Jerry Donahue's daughter, Christina. Jerry Donahue, the guitarist, you know, the American is
Yeah.
great.
Incredible.
Fantastic. There's a YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
if anybody wants.
I got to see that. I've had two very famous Prague women singers that, to me, are like kind of like a Sandy Denny caliber, and that's Sonia Christina and Annie Haslam. And
oh yeah, I know both of those.
Yeah,
they're very good. Yeah,
good people.
Great singers. Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, they still perform.
Exactly.
I think they still perform. Yeah.
They're still touring.
But mentioning Jerry Donahue, poor Jerry, about 3 years ago, he had a stroke. And he's in Los Angeles recovering from it. He lost all of his kind of right side and all of his speech, and he's having a very slow recovery. But,
right.
but I don't know when your program goes out, Ray, but if there's any guitarists listening, they'll all know who Jerry Donahue is. He played with the Helicasters as well, that fantastic band, American trio with Will Ray and John Jorgensen. Did you ever hear them, the Helicasters?
I have, yes, sure.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But Jerry's, somebody donated the company, he designed a signature guitar for kind of a Telecaster for John Hornby Skews, the manufacturers. It's the Jerry Donahue signature model, and it's a fabulous guitar. I mean, lots of people buy these, but the company that made it donated one, and we've got it signed by some incredible people. A chap called Matt Worley, who is playing with Robert Plant's new band Saving Grace.
Right.
Managed to go around and get signatures from people. Well, Robert signed it. He was one of the first people. And Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. Jeff Lynne signed it.
Wow.
John Paul Jones signed it. And then we got the 3 Yardbirds guitarists, Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, and Eric Clapton to sign it. Brian Wilson signed it when he came over to Cropredy, and Al Jardine.
Incredible.
Dave Gilmour signed it as well.
Wow.
And Sir Paul McCartney was the last person to sign it.
Oh my goodness.
It's being auctioned on December the 11th. If I can plug this, it's at the Bath Hallgate, Houlgate guitar auction. It's on December the 11th. It's in Bath in England. If anybody who's interested in bidding for it, it's going to go for thousands.
Thousands, yeah.
It's just, and every penny goes to Jerry. The auction house aren't taking any commission even for it, and it'll really help him because he needs some special treatment. And the American medical care is so expensive.
It is.
So any guitar players out there with rich poppers or rich parents, get in. December the 11th, yeah?
Okay, we're definitely going to promote that, and I've got a lot of different websites we'll put it on as well, so people can go.
Please, yeah, that'd be great.
You also
I can send you a link to the actual auction.
That'd be great.
Later, if great.
Any information you can send me, that'd be wonderful. You also,
sorry.
You also did. Is it the Tracy Bullard signature bass? You also did one of those too, right? Was that a?
Well, Tracy was a lady that worked for us when we had our Woodworm Records company.
Right.
She was in. That was an acoustic bass I had, which I got signed by lots of people who were playing at the festival. To raise money for the hospice that she was in.
I saw that on YouTube.
There's a hospice near us in where we live in Banbury, where our Cropredy Festival is. We're all like in the middle of Oxfordshire here, and the local hospice, it's self-supported. The government don't put any money into it, so they're constantly trying to raise money for it. In the Fairports, we've all had mates who we've lost, who've spent their last days in there, and it's such a great place. We do everything we can to try and raise money for them,
Good for you guys, man. You guys are awesome.
Well, we're getting on ourselves, so when you get to a certain age, and it's like, you attend more funerals than you do weddings. We get invited to do lots of funerals. And because of the song Who Knows Where the Time Goes, and also Richard Thompson's great song Meet on the
Mm-hmm.
When you lose like a friend or a Fairport fan, you hear of this and you get, everybody have the song Meet on the Ledge played at their funeral, or who knows where the time goes. So it's always, they're two fantastic songs, but they're sung more at funerals and stuff than anything else nowadays,
I want to talk a little bit about Tull. I've had Ian. I've interviewed Ian a couple times. I had Dylan on the show.
Right.
I had Martin as well.
Great.
On the show.
He's doing very well now with his 50 years of Tull band and the Martin Bar band.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
They're in Australia now, I think, and he loves touring in America. And he's got a great band now. We had them at our festival this year, and they did very, very well. It was great to see Dee Palmer up there with them and Clive Bunker.
Oh, man.
So that was good. I got up for the last number, what's it called? Locomotive Breath.
Yeah.
and played acoustic guitar very badly, I think. So I don't think they'll be inviting me back. But yeah, I love Jethro Tull. There's a great new book out, which I've just read, which somebody sent me. I don't know if it's out in the States yet, about Jethro Tull. I'm just wandering around the room trying to find the title, it's really nice. It's got some great pictures and stuff in. It's called The Ballad of Jethro Tull. Look out for that one. It's Ian's obviously okayed it all, and there's lots of interviews with all the early members of the band going up to the current lineup.
Yeah, the book is available, I think, on the website.
Oh yeah, okay, good. Well, it's a good read. I can vouch for it. But it's not as good as my book, of course. I have my own book called A Box of Peggs.
Exactly.
Which I don't know if you've got that, but you can get that by looking at the Dave Pegg website.
Yep.
If you look up my website, you'll see it tells you all about it. And I'm very pleased to say that it's been very well received.
Excellent.
Ian Anderson got one of the first copies. I sent it to him, and Ian emailed me and said, "Thanks for being so kind to me." Yeah.
We're gonna promote your book as well.
Yeah, and there's lots of Tull stories in it. I had a great time in Jethro Tull. It was a real challenge for me at first because the music was much more complex and stuff. I'd been used to playing with Fairport, and obviously the venues were so much bigger. The first tour I did in the States, we did like 2 nights at Madison Square Gardens, and it was just a different world, with like about 40 people on the road instead of a dozen, and playing to these huge audiences. But it was fantastic, and I had the utmost respect for Jethro Tull. I think Ian's a tremendous writer. All the guys in the band were monster musicians, people like Peter John Batesi, and Martin, still fantastic guitar player. He's also signed Jerry's guitar, by the way. He's another person that signed it, and I still see Martin from time to time. We're great buddies. We come from the same place in England, Birmingham, so we're always kind of closer than probably the other guys in Jethro Tull were.
You came to Tull at a great time because it was kind of a revamp of the band. It was kind of, they had a lull. They were huge back in the early 70s and throughout the 70s. But then they made a resurgence while you were in the band, and they got really hot, with some great albums, You had...
that's kind of you to say that. I mean, my favourite Tull album that I did was The Broadsword and the Beast.
Oh, I love Broadsword, yeah.
I really love that one, because it took a long time to make that album, and it was over a year in the making, and we abandoned and chucked so much stuff and had various producers involved in it. However, the end result, there were a lot of outtakes which finished up on the box set, which were great as well. But and some of the later albums, like Under Wraps, I wasn't too keen on at first because they were done with like a Linn drum machine,
right,
instead of a real drummer, and it was all very kind of techno and like sampling and stuff like that. But brilliant songs still, and very brilliant concepts, mainly from Ian and Peter Vitesi. But having said that, Under Wraps later became one of my favourite albums. I played quite a lot now, and the actual tour that we did with Under Wraps, where Doan was playing with us, and having to reproduce many Linn drum parts, which are all done with a computer, and you need 6 hands to do what the drum programs were doing. But Doan did fantastically well, and the tour musically was fantastic. We had a really good time in America. But the album kind of stretched Ian vocally, and he says that's when he started having problems.
Yeah.
Kind of singing, he was a lot of the tunes were pitched a bit too high for his voice. He was overstretching himself, and I think that was one of the problems with that album.
On Crest of the Knave, he started sounding like Dire Straits.
Yeah, well, it's the way it goes. I mean, Dire Straits, it wasn't an intent.
It was his voice.
Copy people. It's just, and people say Martin rips off Martin Knopfler, but it's a Fender Stratocaster in the one pickup position,
Yeah.
And that sounds like Martin Knopfler. Martin Knopfler sounds like Richard Thompson,
Right.
Martin Knopfler got an awful lot from Richard Thompson. He would come to early Fairport gigs. I mean, I love Martin Knopfler's playing, don't get me wrong. It's again, he's another person that signed Jerry's guitars.
Right.
And he's got his own identity.
He does.
As a guitar player.
He does.
But it's not the Crest of a Knave sound. That's just, the Martin Knopfler guitar sound on Crest of a Knave. It's a Fender Strat.
Mm-hmm.
Knopfler's original guitar sound is Money for Nothing.
Right.
And that kind of distorted but very melodic. I watched that film the other day that did about the Scottish village. I've forgotten the name of it. That's an American oil tycoon tries to buy the whole village,
right,
and fails. He fails because he's into astronomy and astrology, and in the end, he doesn't build his oil thing there. He builds a big observatory. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Excuse my ignorance, but I came in halfway through the film,
right,
and before the title credits came up. But it was Mark Knopfler who did the music, and it's beautiful, absolutely wonderful.
He's good.
And, have you had him on your program?
Not yet. No, not yet. I've had everybody else, but not him.
Well, try and get him. Yeah.
I am. So he's busy guy. He tours a lot. When they're on tour.
He never works in August, which is a shame because when the kids are on holiday, because we'd love to have him at Cropredy Festival, but it's kind of a bit out of our league, because our licence is for 20,000 people. So when people do us a favour, people like Alice Cooper tag it on at the end of their tour, I'm sure they help us out financially because we don't have the kind of money to pay for huge American acts. The thing about American acts is they're always working on the shed circuit in the summer. You've got so many venues and places that people can play open air there that they tend not to be in Europe.
Yeah, that's true. But there's a lot of bands that don't come here. Like one band I always wanted to see that never comes to the States is Status Quo. They haven't been here since.
You're not going to be seeing
them.
We've had them at Cropredy. They were great. They were a fantastic live band.
Right.
I don't know why they never bothered to tour in America. I don't know. I don't know why that would be. They would have been big, I think.
I think so. I think you're right. But, I've had, David Cousins from the Straubs?
Yeah.
I mean, they tour U.S. I mean, small venues. They did a big anniversary thing in, I think it was in Ohio.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I know all about that because I got David the guitar, the nylon strung Spanish guitar that he needed.
Oh, really? That's funny.
I got it for him. A friend of mine sells them, so I got him a very good deal on that. So
awesome.
He owes me a pint when I see him. And my friend Paul Smith does the sound for them, so I know all about the Straubs. No, they like coming over to America.
Yep.
We love playing in America, but it's like, apart from the fact that we schlep ourselves around, you kill yourself for like a month physically, driving around. You don't make any money, which is not the reason we'd be going anyway. Right. If we had a record label who'd put our stuff out and something to promote over there, we'd probably come over. But I've given up trying to get American labels to put our stuff out. And then politically, we're not really into Donald, with all due respect. We're not into Boris Johnson either. So it's like, and the fact that you've got to get a work permit and, it costs a fortune to get work permits nowadays.
Yeah,
so it's just all of a lot of hassle and a lot of work to play to some very grateful people, but not enough of them to make it kind of pay.
You know what?
And further your career.
I like to see some kind of prog tour, all-star prog tour here in America. Like Ringo's all-star band, but only all
to see that.
Yeah, all prog artists.
What I'd like to do is get on one of those boat cruises like the Straubs do and Martin Barr's band do.
There you go.
Steve Hackett. I keep telling all these people, put a word in for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a word in for Fairport because we'd love to do those things. We're doing the Rhine cruise and the Danube cruise, but these are river boats with like 150 people on, which is it's lovely. But we'd like to do one of those. We could do a prog rock tour. We could change our set list to get away with it, or the folky one, the singer-songwriter one. Ray, we need you and your listeners to put a word in for us.
I know. I will. You belong on those cruises for sure. I'm surprised you're not on the cruise already.
Yeah. But no, we'd love to do that.
Yeah.
It's such easy work as well. You only play for a couple of nights a week, and then the rest of the time you're watching your mates.
Yep, and signing autographs. Yeah.
Love to do it.
I want to say...
Whereabouts is your station based?
We're based out of California, but I'm in Florida. So...
all right, whereabouts in Florida?
I'm in, you know where Sarasota is?
Oh, I do, yeah, I know Sarasota. It's a nice place,
yeah. Sarasota's...
Been there.
We are full of Brits here.
Yeah. Well, I used to go to Florida an awful lot. We loved it, and we used to love going there with Tull as well when we,
Oh, yeah.
We'd stay on the beach and stuff. And I miss all that, the Tull touring days. America was great for us. We really loved it. And I know Martin Barr still loves coming over there. I think he's already planning his next visit over.
I want to make one comment about you and Tull. You were probably one of the last faces of Tull. Of course, Martin, of course, but when you recognize Jethro Tull, when you got to see Dave Pegg in the band. I mean, that was after you left. It was it's never the same. I hate to say it, but that band was never the same after you and Martin left.
Well, I know. Well, things changed. When I joined Jethro Tull, it was a very strange setup because nobody really talked to each other, and it was very much like a workplace.
Really?
There was no kind of camaraderie. I think I brought a bit more of that into it because I quite like the odd glass of wine.
Yeah.
And I think I may have encouraged some of them to over tipple from time to time. And suddenly there was a lot of bonhomie in the band. It's like when you go to the pub, you finish up singing the song all together and hugging your male opposite.
Right.
There was quite a lot of that happened, and that was the first time. I think that's what I brought into the band.
I think you did.
It certainly wasn't. It was a good spirit, and we became pretty good buddies, and there was no kind of animosity. only reason I left Jethro Tull was I was doing Fairport at the same time,
right,
and organising Cropredy Festival, and I had a studio as well, which we had to kind of run, and it was like you just never stopped working. I became a total workaholic, and it kind of took its toll, you know, and something had to go, and Jethro Tull had been very good to me. He looked after me financially, you know, very well, and I didn't need to do it any longer, and I didn't want to stop playing music, but it meant I could spend more time with Fairport Convention and working on the festival, and, you know, have a bit of space in my life. And I missed it. I could see the way that things were going with Jethro Tull. Times were changing, and people weren't buying CDs, and, you know, attendances were full. It was just a whole different thing was happening in the world, and you know, it was time to get out, really. I'm glad I did. I mean, I think, you know, it took. I kind of saw the writing on the wall with it, really. I think before the others did, if you know what I mean.
You know, I asked Martin. I says, "Why? How come you're not in Tull anymore?" He says, "I don't know." He really doesn't know. He says it just one day it just happened. You know.
So, it's well. I don't know. I don't see them. I went to see them when Martin, the band, the guys that replaced me, the bass player John, fabulous bass player, and David, great bass player, and John, great keyboard player, and it was still good when I went to see them with Doan. But I think that politically things had changed with setup, and Ian just wanted it to be in. He was always in total control and always the boss of the band.
Yeah.
But he would, you know, take notice of what other people thought. Certainly when I was in the band, and he was very helpful to me, even changing their schedule so I could do Fairport things that would come up, which were deemed to be important. But things changed, and I think it became. It wasn't the friendliest band in the end, and it just became kind of, he had to do what he wanted to do, and I think it's better for Martin that he's doing his own thing, and the problem with Doan was he lived in California, and every time the band wanted to do 2 or 3 things in England or Europe, Doan would have to come over and spend like a couple of days getting over jet lag. You know what I mean? It was such a long way away, and that's kind of what happened. But you'd have to talk to Ian about it, about what happened there. But when I was with them, it was great, and I taught them all how to drink, and they all put on a lot of weight.
Yeah, I talked with, you know, Ian is the only guy I got nervous for the first time I interviewed him. The second time was okay, but I just know he's a smart guy. You don't want to say anything wrong. You know, you got to be intelligent when you talk to him. But we had great talks. We talked about religion.
Ian's incredibly bright.
Yeah,
I mean, he is a fantastically clever guy.
Very clever.
He's brilliant at business.
Yeah,
and he was brilliant when he had his fish farm.
Right.
You know, he made a great success out of that, starting from nothing. And you know, everything. He was kind of responsible for all the business with Jethro Tull when he took it on his own shoulders, and they'd had some dreadful problems with previous managers and agents and accountants and stuff like that. He was totally honest and, you know, a brilliant kind of band leader and business leader, and I've got nothing but praise for him, really. I learned an awful lot about how to do things, which I kind of brought into the way that we ran the Fairports, and, you know, promoting our own band and our own label and stuff. It was the only way we could carry on, because none of the major labels were interested in us. And we were one of the first bands in England to do that, to set up our own company and do all our own promotion, and indeed our own festival.
Exactly.
I don't think there's any other band that's got its own festival in the UK.
No, I don't think so.
Certainly Cropredy, it's got great credibility. You know, it's as good as any
Sure.
In terms of production and enjoyment factor.
Well, I miss you. I miss you in Tull. I can tell you that, and I always loved Fairport Convention. It's always been one of my favorite bands as well. But just seeing that smiling face on every album cover, I miss you in Tull.
The pictures were always taken when we'd come back from the pub.
That figures.
So, some of the others may not have been smiling. They may not imbibed as much as I had, but
that's funny.
No, it was great, Jethro Tull, and the Fairports. I'm glad we're continuing. I'm glad Ian's still doing things. I don't think he does as much as he used to in terms of with the band,
right.
or what his plans are. But certainly the Fairports, we've got a big year ahead of us.
Exactly,
this new album,
big year.
Shuffle and Go, and the festival, and please, all our friends in America listening to this, don't forget us. Don't forget us. We're still there.
Exactly. Dave, here's your final question. I ask everybody this question. I get some very interesting answers.
Yes.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
You mean myself personally?
Yes.
You mean me personally?
You personally.
I'd love to collaborate with James Taylor. I'd love to be in his band, but sadly, his bass player's better than me.
I would say that.
And he's got more hair. and he's got more hair. But James, if you're listening to this, I'm much cheaper.
That's funny. Hey, I'll put it out. I haven't interviewed James yet, but I'm probably due. I've interviewed Peter Asher, who was his manager at one time.
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah, what a man that I'd love to hear that. And but we use James Taylor fans, so do put the word out, Ray. And
I will.
Send me an email, and I'll send you this link for the Jerry Donahue guitar auction. Yeah,
I definitely will. Dave, thank you for being on the show today, for all the incredible music. Hope to see you in Florida one day, and Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thanks very much, Ray, and to all your listeners, Merry Christmas and a Happy New.
Thank you very much. Take care, man.
Take care, mate.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Purchase Off the Pegg, Bespoke Memoirs of a Bass Player, the autobiography by Dave Pegg and Nigel Schofield, available at Amazon.com. For more information about Dave Pegg, Fairport Convention, or Jethro Tull, visit www.davepegg.co.uk. For Fairport Convention, www.fairportconvention.com. For Jethro Tull, www.jethrotull.com. Very special thanks to the dynamic duo of Doug and Don Newsom of BBS Radio for making the magic happen for each and every broadcast of Interviewing the Legends. If you have comments or suggestions for the show, please contact me at interviewingthelegends@gmail.com. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel Interviewing the Legends with Ray Shasho for the very latest news. It is real news, people. Don't forget to purchase a copy of my book entitled Check the G's, The True Story of an Eclectic American Family and Their Wacky Family Business, available now at Amazon.com. I promise you will live it. And coming soon, the rock, oh my goodness, I don't even know the name of my own book. The Rock Star Chronicles, coming soon, a new book by me, including over 50 interviews with the greatest music legends of our time. Have a great week, everybody. Happy holidays.